In 2006, Facebook was at the cutting edge of social networking, and its improbable leader, Mark Zuckerberg, was busy fielding offers from major media players. Michael Wolff was CEO of MTV Networks.
He was interested in a partnership. I was interested in acquiring the company. I told him we'd be willing to pay as much as $1.5 billion to buy Facebook outright. His answer was, I think it's worth a lot more, and at the same time, I may never have an idea as good as this one, so I'm not that interested in selling.
In 2006, Zuckerberg believed he could take Facebook to another level. He came up with something called Newsfeed. Users could update their status, and it would be immediately shared with their network of friends. But many users thought the feature was a violation of their privacy. 500,000 of them launched an online protest.
To say that it was unpopular at first is a dramatic understatement. They were under siege at the office. They couldn't leave. They were surrounded by news trucks.
Zuckerberg was wounded. He was forced to apologize.
He wrote his apology note himself. It was probably a good learning experience. When Facebook changed some of the privacy controls, it was an overstep. I do think that he takes those seriously, but I do think that he's willing to continue to overstep for the purpose of making a product that he wants to make.
Not surprisingly to Zuckerberg, Newsfeed was worth saving, and it became one of the most popular elements of the Facebook experience. On the heels of Newsfeed, Zuckerberg expanded beyond its college roots and opened Facebook to the general public. That wider audience was the blast that launched it to a stunning 12 million users, more than double the previous year.
Mark Zuckerberg doesn't ever really get surprised. He is so confident, I think, that he always kind of just assumed he'd have a lot of success.
Success brought more success, and in 2007, industry giant Microsoft enters the picture.
Microsoft knocks on Facebook's door. This is a technology that's not going away, and Microsoft wants a piece of it.
This time, it was a deal Zuckerberg couldn't turn down. And for the first time, the world got a glimpse of what Facebook may really be worth.
By the time people were finally getting used to the idea that anyone would pay $1 billion for Facebook, Microsoft comes along and pays $250 million for 1.6% of the company. It was outrageous. It valued the company at $15 billion. This took Facebook from a thing that a lot of people use to a thing that everyone was talking about, the $15 billion company.
But only a month later, Zuckerberg, at the top of his game, stumbles badly.
Zuckerberg's made a lot of mistakes. The next mistake, which was a really big one, was Beacon.
You go to a third-party e-commerce site and you buy something, and unless you tell it not to, really quickly, it's going to go back and tell all your friends that you just bought a diamond engagement ring. And obviously, you know, that sort of secret revealing can cause a lot of trouble.
There was the great rallying cry that Facebook ruined Christmas because suddenly everyone's purchases were being broadcast to their entire network.
Nevertheless, Zuckerberg was defiant.
Zuckerberg really tried to defend it for a while. It took him a while to realize how wrong it was.
On December 5th, 2007, he made another full-throated apology. 2 months later, in February 2008, after years of legal maneuvering, the lawsuit over Facebook's origins resurfaced. The Winklevoss twins and Divya Narendra reached a settlement with Zuckerberg for $65 million for their part in creating Facebook. They later changed their minds.
We were appealing because we were misled. The settlement that we had initially signed up for contained both cash and stock in the company, but the stock component was essentially overvalued by Facebook.
We will continue pursuing this until we are adequately compensated for the value we added to Facebook.
Mark Zuckerberg considers the matter closed. By 2009, Facebook reached over 150 million people. Rumors swirled that the company would go public, but instead took money from a new investor. Yuri Milner, CEO of the Russian internet investment firm Digital Sky Technologies, proposed a $200 million deal for an almost 2% stake in the company.
Deals of that size are kind of never easy. There's a lot of back and forth. This deal was about the vision that we shared, how big this company can get. Everything else was sort of secondary.
Milner's investment allowed Facebook to delay going public and supported its continuing growth. Advertising was the key to keeping it going, and Facebook was in a unique position.
A lot of previous internet marketing models are based on clicks or impressions, that you get paid to either show this ad or get a click one time. And the notion of connections on Facebook is kind of fundamentally different from that, because once you have a connection, it's a long-term relationship with that person.
Jeremy Smith is Chief Strategy Officer for Second Market and deals with assets like Facebook shares that cannot yet be traded on the public market.
What makes Facebook so desirable from the perspective of advertisers is that they are able to accumulate information on their users like nobody else. And the funny thing is, the users don't really view it as data. It's themselves, it's their information, it's their lives that they're putting on there. But as far as advertisers are concerned, it is the holy grail of data.
Facebook had already been selling user information to advertisers, but it became a practice that would strike fear in the heart of users. Mark Rash is former head of the United States Department of Justice Computer Crime Unit and is now a computer security consultant.
It doesn't trouble me that people buy information. This is what Google's business model is. It's what Facebook's business model is. It's what Twitter's business model is going to be, provided that individuals know what they're giving up. You know, you get a free service, Facebook, you don't write them a check every month, but in return for which, they get your personal information. The problem is when you are getting the service for free but don't know what you're giving up and give up more than you want to.
Mark gets in trouble over privacy a lot, and he continues to do it despite several backlashes, for one very simple reason. Despite all these backlashes amongst the media and small subsets of very vocal users, people keep joining Facebook in throngs. People don't quit Facebook over these issues.
In July of 2010, Facebook hit 500 million users, making it the world's most popular website. 2 months later, Zuckerberg made a surprise appearance on Oprah to announce a $100 million donation to public schools in Newark, New Jersey, and the creation of the Startup Education Foundation. The origin of Facebook is now the subject of a major motion picture, The Social Network.
You have part of my attention. You have the minimum amount. The rest of my attention is back at the offices of Facebook, where my colleagues and I are doing things that no one in this room, including and especially your clients, are intellectually or creatively capable of doing.
For a site that's able to move from the dorm room to a site where, you know, my 80-year-old mother and myself and my chiropractor and my third grade class all reunites on the site, and we all have something to talk about, and we choose what we need to talk about, whether it's about somebody's birthday or politics or whatever it is, it's an achievement.
He's growing as a person with 1,400 employees, you know, close to 500 million users. He's changing in a lot of ways. He's becoming a more natural leader. He's becoming more confident of his skills.
He's more than a little bit of a rebel. He is like the modern James Dean, this guy. He is an amazingly impactful person who cares not what other people think about him and wants to change the world.